And welcome inside the Backstage Pass. Of course, a countdown a week away now from being in Nashville, Tennessee for Country Radio Seminar. We'll be there Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, the 28th, 29th, and March the 1st there too. Looking forward to that, courtesy of our friends out there to the CadenGordonShow.com, today's best country mix. And of course, Lady TLC's travel agency and our friends over at Jewelry by Tommy, all making that possible, along with our friends over at Bangtail Whiskey, too. We're live out there, the sportsguyspodcast.com, and of course, out there, KKTC True Country 99.9, of course, also hightidecountry.net, and also the live remotes will be there next week. We'll be live at the Doghouse Saloon broadcasting for 2 nights, courtesy of our friends at MC1 Nashville, and then Friday, March 1st at the Wild Beaver Saloon. Pleased to welcome, man, I love to switch it up here and get a variety of everything, not just country music here on this show. Duane, D.O. Gibson joins us here on the program. Mr. D.O., how you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. I'm glad to be here.
Man, just glad to have you here too as well. Well, let's dive into this new album too. I'm gonna talk about this too. I love it. First of all, I got a chance to review everything. Some great songs on there, 9 to be exact there too. Songs of Freedom. Tell us all about this, and also again putting new music into the fans' hands. I'm sure they love it.
Songs of Freedom. What I love about it is Bob Marley has always been a big inspiration to me, and what I like about Bob Marley's music is that it doesn't matter, where you come from. I think he's one of the most universally beloved artists that we've always had and we've ever had. And so what I liked is he said songs of freedom. Now, I know you do a lot of country music on this podcast. And to me, I never looked at a difference so much in genres as I got older, because I grew up in places where country music was number one. But I also felt that I was able to come into that space because I think good music is good music.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I talk about songs of freedom, I am talking about music with a message, but I think music with a message doesn't have to preach in order to reach people. So that was the inspiration. We covered Bob Marley's Redemption song to start it off, and that kind of got the ball rolling from there. And I just figured, why not come out with an EP that showcases our songs of freedom?
Yeah, great way to begin the album, too, from that Bob Marley song, Redemption song, too, as well. Love that one, too. You got a chance to work with some great artists on that track. Talk about that, because it does feature some of your close friends in the music industry, too, and tell fans about that, too, because you got to feature some great singer-songwriters on that song, too, as well.
It's great to have Amoy on the track, and I've
Correct.
known Amoy for several years, but it's cool because she just got her 7th Juno nomination. So for her friends in the States, it's the Canadian Grammy, essentially. But a really acclaimed singer. And I always like to have relationships organic, where, I've built up a relationship with her. I put on events in Los Angeles during Grammy week, and I had her out at one of these showcases. And when it came to wanting to do this song, it's kind of a no-brainer, because to get a male singer to do Bob Marley, they're always going to compare. I mean, they've got the movie out now about Bob, and it's a British guy, so how does he compare? But I just figured a woman's voice on there would be nice. And then Beat Child, who has been a longtime friend and collaborator. I've known him for over 20 years. We used to have Drake by the studio. I mean, he was producing for Drake back in the day and continued to, ascend through his musical career. He just produced for Susan Carroll, who just won a Grammy a couple of weeks ago. So it was nice to also do the song in person, because we live in an age where people are sending files here and there.
Sure.
So when we were in the studio, I wasn't sure if I was even going to be on it. I just had the idea to do it. And then I said, Slacker, because that's what he used to go by, Slacker the Beat Child. I said, what do you think? Should I be on it? He's like, of course you're going to be on it. So it was one of those, chop up the beat. Here's your spot. Go in and just do something quick, and I think that's how the best songs are created, just by going with that vibe and momentum when you're in the studio.
That gut feeling, no doubt about it, too. As I say sometimes in sports and in life, that gut is the best feeling sometimes. It will never lead you astray, too, as well. Hey, let's talk about your connection to music and kind of growing up there. I mean, obviously, a huge impact, and I'm sure a lot of genres of music shaped who you are as an artist. Talk about that and your connection to music from a young age.
I grew up in several different places across Canada, but where I was a kid was Stratford, Ontario. And so it's interesting now that you see Justin Bieber, one of the biggest pop stars in the world, coming from there. But then, spending time in Sarnia, Ontario was great, because in Sarnia and Sault Ste. Marie, I was right on the border of Michigan. So you're going to have kind of that Detroit influence, whether it's from way back in Motown to Eminem to Kid Rock, and then when I moved to Toronto, Toronto is one of the biggest, if not the most melting pots in the world of different cultures. And I think that really contributes to my music, whether it's, I tour a lot of schools, so I could be going to a school that's predominantly East Indian, but I can connect, or I can go to a school that's predominantly Black, but they identify more as Caribbean. And I went to university in Barbados for a year. And now, with a lot of African immigrants here, and you hear Afro beats. And I think that's what's a great part about Canada and Toronto specifically, is you're going to have all these influences into your music, or just even if they don't directly impact your music, I think it's the appreciation of different cultures and what people really seek to get out of music, which is that same thing. You just want to feel good. You want to put something on that, puts you in a good vibe or makes you think about things. And so I just took it from there.
I'm seeing that mostly, and you mentioned country too, because I try to stick to, maybe I listen to the genre a lot because of the artists I put here on the program. But for me, kind of like the smorgasbord of everything. I love a little bit of everything, the variety of it, variety being the spice of life. And I have appreciation for all artists and tunes and things out there too, because this is a tough industry. It is called the music business for that reason too, as well, because that business side of it too. You've been doing this a long time. What new advice would you give a lot of these young artists? And you see a bunch now, even on American Idol, The Voice, America's Got Talent, things like that, trying to shape themselves as an artist. You've been in it a long time. What advice would you give those young this young generation today who are trying to bust out as the next superstar?
I think it's a matter of what do you want out of it. And so what I mean by that is whether you're trying to get on America's Got Talent, I was watching it last night, they had one of their finales, or one of these singing competition shows, or if you're trying to go viral on TikTok or Instagram or YouTube, that's cool. That's cool. But know that's what you want. For me, I decided early on I wanted a career in the music business. And so one of the key things with that is learning about the music business. If you check out over there, you can see books and a whole library dedicated to some books on the music business, because I had to learn that part of the business of, do I want to sign a record deal? Do I want to get a manager, hiring a booking agent, a radio promoter, a publicist? And those are important things that you factor into having a career. But regardless of what you want, you have to be able to practice and work hard at it. And so I see a lot of artists nowadays that say, like, I don't know how to start. I don't know what to do. And, I just tell them pick up their phone, because the ability to go live on Instagram and freestyle or sing, or record songs or get beats off YouTube or websites, it's so much easier than in the late 90s where, even out of school today, I just said, when I was growing up, there was no YouTube. And they couldn't even understand it. They kids can't understand a world without that. But the great thing is on YouTube, how to be a rapper. And they can tell you, and a lot of different people will tell you, but I think it's easier to learn, but the essentials are always there. It is practice, repetition, and finally, playing live.
Yeah.
You got to play live.
Yeah, got to play live and be able to market yourself and your brand. And that's where it comes to. I love concerts, things like that too. And, that's how you look at Live Nation and some of the agencies that put on these concerts, the people that have out there too, just like the ticket agencies like that, or the concert promotions, things like that. I'm sure they read a lot of the great books, and that's very, very interesting. You say that too, and I actually love that too, because I do like to read like articles, and depending on the source and where they come from, things like that. But things that mean a lot to me too. Even radio career, same thing. How do you sustain this? How do you keep a podcast going? How do you make money doing it? How do you do all these different things to sell to sponsors, things like that too, as well, a publicist, and I mean all these different things, or to travel to different cities and do live remotes. I read a lot of books just like you did on the radio side of things, and I've got about 20 years doing it too out there. I want to ask you about one, Dio, off the record. Feels good to be black. And dude, that just a great vibe for that song. I love it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's one of those songs when I heard the beat, I was just freestyling. And And I was preparing for Black History Month because I do
Mm-hmm.
a lot of work in schools touring and talking about Black history. And I was like, it feels good to be Black. And it's, some people could say that's ironic because I'm half white. My mother's white. But to me, it was never a conflict of, well, I'm not full Black. Should I be saying that? I think identity is really self-determined and how you feel. And I have a white family and I'm proud of it as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that there's so much division, whether you're talking about politics and race comes into it, that at the end of the day, it's about loving yourself. And because I go to so many of these schools, I look at kids that would play that song back and say to themselves when they're in the mirror, feels good to be Black. I was watching a Michael Jackson TikTok the other day of what he talked about of why music's important. And he said it's a mantra that when you listen to a song again and again, you're repeating it to yourself and you start to believe it. And I think with so much things going on in the world that I think self-pride is a great thing to have. Just like when I was a kid and I threw on Man in the Mirror. And what that song taught me was if you want to make the world a better place, then take a look at yourself and make a change. And I think that still rings true.
No doubt about it, too. You speaking for a lot of us out there, too, who just love music in general. And, like I said, you got to love yourself. That's just a part of it, too, as well. And a lot of people just have to kind of come around and get that feeling. And I try to, because, the world's full of negative stuff too much these days. I don't even watch the news anymore, to be honest with you. I don't do politics on this show here, so we disregard that. But at the same time, it's just entertainment and do things that make you happy because, you realize you only get one ride in this life, too, and you might as well take a chance because I always – one of my sayings, Dio, is scared money, don't make money. That's just the way I look at things. And
exactly.
learned a lot through that, too, through Wise Men and, of course, a lot of the material of the literature and reading out there, too, at the same time. And, of course, affiliating yourself with good people and a good team. And you're only as good as your team out there, too. And speaking of those teams, I got to take a break here because the conversation could keep going with Dio and myself. It will after this break here, too, as well. If you guys are looking for that gift out there, too, I always say, get her some bling, too. Valentine's Day, I know, is over, but you know what? Jewelry by Tommy keeps going out there, too. Spouse, friend, family member, there it is. Burley System at yahoo.com. BUEHRLE System at yahoo.com. Jewelry by Tommy, handcrafted, handmade. Make sure you guys pick up some there at Burley System at yahoo.com. We'll pay a tribute out there to our sponsors, of course, that made the Nashville trip coming up next week for a country radio seminar very possible. 2024 will be at the Omni Hotel Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of next week. And, of course, out there at the Doghouse Saloon Wednesday, Thursday night, the 28th and 29th broadcasting live. And, of course, the Wild Beaver Saloon on March the 1st. Quick timeout, more with Dio Gibson. It is the Backstage Pass. Stay tuned.
The Kate and Gordon Show is a 2-hour show playing the best in country music. So check it out at thecateandgordonshow.com. Again, that is thecateandgordonshow.com.
Ever thought about owning your own business? Tanya Lapsley-Cockett did. She decided a little over 5 years ago that she was going to be an entrepreneur, so she started her travel business. Tanya is married and works a full-time job. Her business has given her amazing opportunities. Not only does she get to help people create memories by booking their vacations, sporting and entertainment tickets, rental cars, etc., but it has also allowed her to help other families create legacy income. The travel industry is extremely lucrative and is an $8 trillion industry. The travel industry is projected to earn in excess of $15 trillion over the next 10 years. The travel industry pays its professionals up to 70 to 80% commission on the travel that they book for themselves and their clients. As a travel business owner, Tanya books travel and teaches others how to own and operate their own travel business. She is a director in training on the marketing side of her business, where she has helped over 90 families start their own businesses. If you're interested in owning your own travel business, please contact Tanya at 917-743-1199 or at ladytlc3555@me.com.
The Bangtail pour is comprised of a sweet corn mash base. The front has a subtle sweetness and not too sharp. It has notes of a medium char or white oak for a smoky flavor in the middle, and the tail has a super smooth and and warm finish.
Go behind the scenes with some of the biggest artists in music today with the Backstage Pass, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. Join Brandon Morrill and his co-host Kirsty Krause as they talk to rising stars and legends about their music careers. Listen to their latest tracks and learn fun facts about the men and women behind the music you love. And be sure to tune into the Backstage Pass Monday through Friday from 3:30 to 6:30, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. And welcome into the Backstage Pass. And back here, Dio Gibson on the show here. Of course, tomorrow we'll grow back to country music a little bit. Corey Marks from Better Noise Music. Always love Corey joining us here on the show. And then March the 5th, he's a member of the Grand Ole Opry, headlined the show last year at CRS. The one, the only, Brantley Gilbert here on the Backstage Pass, March the 5th out there too as well. Back here with Dio Gibson. Again, thanks to the sponsors for making the Nashville trip possible. Coming up next week there, Country Radio Seminar 2024 at the Omni, and of course out and about at the Doghouse Saloon and the Wild Beaver Saloon on March the 1st here too. You know, back to the album, I love it again, Songs of Freedom, that just came out here February 9th from Dio Gibson. I love the song Josiah. Talk about this one too and how this came about.
Josiah is an important song to me because Josiah Henson was Uncle Tom. Mm-hmm. And if you're in the United States, you've heard the term Uncle Tom, and it usually means somebody who's Black who is, you know, not supported Black people, thinks they're too better. And in Ontario, and outside of Toronto, about 2 hours away, there's a museum. It was called Uncle Tom's Cabin. It's recently been renamed to Josiah Henson Museum. But it's about somebody who was a slave in Kentucky who took the Underground Railroad to Canada and had his freedom. But he didn't want to take the Underground Railroad. As a slave, he was getting paid. It wasn't a lot of money. But he'd saved up enough that his master said, if you take this note, you give me $100 and you can have your freedom. So he saved up his money. And when he came to that master, the master took a pencil, I'm assuming it was a pencil, not a pen, but put another zero and made it $1,000. Mm-hmm. And the visuals for Josiah show that part. And so I wanted to show what that Underground Railroad experience was like as far as a song, what it was like to travel from the United States over 800 kilometers to make it to Canada. And that flip side is Josiah Henson was not an Uncle Tom, but that book, Harriet Beecher Stowe, came out, kind of proclaimed him as a character. It sold more than the Bible. And then they subverted it through a play in the United States and made him look like a bad person. And I think that's why it's so important. Everybody says, do your research. But it is important to know where certain things come from. So that actually a great hero, because he was the first Black Canadian to be put on a stamp, has been misrepresented throughout America, unfortunately. So I want to tell people this story. So whether you're from Canada, America, or abroad, you would realize he was a freedom fighter who risked his life by continuing to go back to bring more enslaved people to freedom in Canada.
You know, Dio, we're talking about that song, Feels Good to Be Black, and you brought up some interesting points there, and we'll ask you this, and we'll take a break here in a little bit. But what I loved about it is I also work in schools as a day job, high school teacher myself. For you, you mentioned going into the schools, letting music teach something to kids, allowing kids to kind of feel something, appreciate themselves, feel good in their own skin, things like that, feel good how God made them. How important is that work to you to go into those schools? Because I know for me, it's probably a completely different answer, probably some of the same similarities, but for yourself being someone that kids do look up to, a hip-hop artist, that kind of thing, you've got a little bit of flavor of everything in this album with Songs of Freedom. You've been around the industry for a long time. How important is that to go to those schools and talk to the youth about just learning through music and also, too, growing up, following your dreams, doing what you want to do?
For sure. I see a lot of young artists that come up to me and say, Dio, I want to go into schools. I want to tell kids to believe in their dreams. And that's great. But I think it's a little bit more nuanced. You have to have a message behind it. So one of my favorite songs that I perform, whether it's Black History Month or whether it's about anti-bullying, it's called I Stand Up. And I think it's important for youth. It doesn't matter what color you are, what religion, is standing up for yourself. And when you look at Black history, it's ironic because you think of Rosa Parks in the United States, or Viola Desmond, who was on our $10 bill here in Canada as a Black woman, who was similar to Rosa Parks, but sat down in a movie theater, but she stood up for herself. And, I was driving back from doing 3 presentations today, listening to an interview with Benzino, who's a rapper who owned the Source magazine and who's getting into a beef with Eminem that's been going on for 20 years. And Benzino is 58 years old, and he's still talking about violence and still can't get over that Eminem dissed him. And I'm just like, it's great to be in a school where a kid might have heard of, well, they listen to rap, but to see somebody who, this has been my full-time job for 20 years, or I've been at the Grammys, here are some of the pictures I've done. And it's not to brag about it, but it's to show them that to be a rapper, to be an artist, it's not about coming in there with money or a fancy chain. But it really is just being a regular person. When I talk about Black history, I think it doesn't matter what history we're talking about. These are regular people. They weren't giving a superhero gift, but they just chose to stand up for something. And whether you're standing up for yourself, whether you're standing up for others, whether you're standing up for what's right, I think that's a core message that we have to talk to our kids about. And the cool thing is that doesn't involve politics. My dad was a preacher. It doesn't involve religion. And my mother was a principal. But I think it's just about teaching kids a solid message that I'm comfortable that when they go home and they say, Dad, I saw this rapper today, it was cool. Oh, yeah? I don't like rap. Play his videos. Oh, he's pretty good, because I used to like getting fan mail from kids, but lately I've been getting fan mail from parents. And they're like, I'm writing this. My daughter wants me to play this song every morning, but I'm jamming to this one song you did, Never Gets Old. And I think that's really cool that the message can transcend just age. It's just, to me, it's just decent values that are important in families.
Back to the album Songs of Freedom, I felt that's on track number 8 when it came to Love Appreciation. So I talk about this one a lot. Appreciate you, because that's something right there. You got to feature another great artist there too. I kind of talk to that too, of this one, and a little backstory of Appreciate You, which is on the record too.
Appreciation was a cool song for me because it was a song where I was like, when I was growing up, Tupac was one of my favorite artists. And a lot of people don't realize, when you look back, they think, oh, Tupac, gangster rapper. But he was talking about being raised by a single mother. He was talking about police brutality. And the song that made him famous was a song about his mother.
Yeah.
So I wanted to write a song about my mother, but also to say that my mother wasn't the same color as me, that she was a white woman, and to talk about those complexities of identity, because especially in Canada, but anywhere you go in the world, the new generation is a lot of mixed kids. And so what I love about my mother is she always taught me to think and to act and to be who I wanted to be, regardless of skin color. And to work with my good friend Jordan, whose dad comes from Nova Scotia, the east coast of Canada, similar to me, who's a Black man, and then to have a white mother as well, that when we were in the studio, we didn't have the chorus, but he was like, D, I got this, because he was going on his own personal experience. And again, it doesn't matter if you're mixed or what color you are. I think we can all relate that we all appreciate our mothers, and especially being a parent now, you realize the sacrifice that our mothers and fathers gave to us, or grandmothers or aunties.
Well said, my friend. Like I said, because I just lost my dad last fall too, in November, and the what he paved for us as young kids today, and having to carry on the family name too. Now I'm a father too at the same time, so this cycle of life continues on, and I got myself of Italian descent and a little bit of everything probably in there too, for the last name too. But I appreciate all cultures, and really that's why I love to travel, because I love to go. Never been to Toronto. I want to get to Ontario. I've been all to the west side of Canada, over there to the province of Alberta. Love it over there too. There's a lot of similarities between Alberta and the state of Texas that I'm in right now, as far as farming goes, and like I said, blue collar workers, and just appreciate what you have every day, because you don't know when it's going to be your last. That's what I love about this album, too, because the title really fits a lot of the songs that he chose to put on there, Songs of Freedom by D.O. Gibson out there, too. And, of course, if you want to have some jewelry to go along with Songs of Freedom, you can do that, too, as well. With our friends at Jewelry by Tommy. Make you look good, feel good, listen to great music there, too, for your spouse, friend, family member. Jewelry by Tommy has got you covered. You can email burleysystem@yahoo.com today to order. It's handcrafted, handmade, BUEHRLE system@yahoo.com for our friends on the audio side, too, as well. It's Jewelry by Tommy. Final segment coming up. We're going to talk some sports in there, too. Myself, D.O. Gibson, maybe a little NFL and Major League Baseball getting close. We'll have Robert Flores from MLB Network coming on the show in the next week or two to talk about the Astros. Get ready for that as we kick off the 2024 season and a whole lot more. More with D.O. Gibson here, KKTC True Country 99.9, and our friends out there too, HighTideCountry.net, and also the Sports Guys Podcast.com. Hang tight, more to come.
The Caden Gordon Show, today's best country mix, is a 2-hour show playing independent and mainstream country music you know and love. Be sure to check it out at thecadengordonshow.com for more information on the show.
The Bangtail pour is comprised of a sweet corn mash base. The front has a subtle sweetness and not too sharp. It has notes of a medium char or white oak for a smoky flavor in the middle, and the tail has a super smooth and warm finish.
Ever thought about owning your own business? Tanya Lapsley-Cockett did. She decided a little over 5 years ago that she was going to be an entrepreneur, so she started her travel business. Tanya is married and works a full-time job. Her business has given her amazing opportunities. Not only does she get to help people create memories by booking their vacations, sporting and entertainment tickets, rental cars, etc., but it has also allowed her to help other families create legacy income. The travel industry is extremely lucrative and is an $8 trillion industry. The travel industry is projected to earn in excess of $15 trillion over the next 10 years. The travel industry pays its professionals up to 70 to 80% commission on the travel that they book for themselves and their clients. As a travel business owner, Tanya books travel and teaches others how to own and operate their own travel business. She is a director in training on the marketing side of her business, where she has helped over 90 families start their own businesses. If you're interested in owning your own travel business, please contact Tanya at 917-743-1199 or at ladytlc3555@me.com.
Go behind the scenes with some of the biggest artists in music today with the Backstage Pass, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. Join Brandon Morrill and his co-host Kirsty Krause as they talk to rising stars and legends about their music careers. Listen to their latest tracks and learn fun facts about the men and women behind the music you love. And be sure to tune into the Backstage Pass Monday through Friday from 3:30 to 6:30, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. And welcome into the Backstage Pass. And back here with D.O. Gibson on the Sports Guys Podcast.com. Again, the Backstage Pass, and of course, KKTC True Country 99.9, and friends at HighTideCountry.net. Thank you guys last year, 12 months, 250,000 listeners to the show last year at HighTideCountry.net. It's thanks to artists like D.O. Gibson for coming on there and all the great country artists that make the program possible out there too as well. Again, thanks to the sponsors. Nashville next week, Country Radio Seminar. We'll be there 2024 at the Omni Hotel. Good interviews, probably close to 100 artists to interview in a 3-day span out there too. And of course, the live broadcast at the Doghouse Saloon Wednesday, Thursday night, 28th and 29th. And of course, out there March the 1st at the Wild Beaver Saloon. Stay tuned for that. More news to come. Some exciting things working on behind the scenes now we'll make public over the next few days into Friday of this week. All right, I got to have a little fun with you too, because this is always cool. Super Bowl just passed. Baseball's coming up now. Teams are in camp. Did you watch it? Me, I just kind of stayed home, laid low with the party type thing, grilled a little bit too. I was never a Patriots fan growing up, but you got to appreciate what Tom Brady did. 6 titles, 7, 1 with Tampa, 6 with New England. And now Mahomes is kind of starting to now create his own mini legacy, 3 and 5 years. Are these dynasties good for sports in your opinion?
I think dynasties are great as long as you have a great team surrounding you. I love the team culture that the Chiefs have. It's hard for me to hate on them. I don't know if you noticed, I went and did a wardrobe change, put on my Steelers hat. So, I didn't even say anything bad about Tom or the
Mhm.
Patriots because even as a Steelers fan, you can't be mad at them. You have to respect how
Mhm.
hard they worked. And I don't just think it was Tom Brady. I don't think it's just Patrick Mahomes, but it's really the team. And I love the NFL because you really don't know who's going to win it. Anybody's got a shot. I mean, I could even say the Arizona Cardinals have a shot next year. So,
You
but they
line up
do. And that's a great thing about sports, and the fact that Brock Purdy was able
Mhm.
to step in as the last pick and lead his team to the Super Bowl and play a great game. But I love watching the game. Very entertaining, kind of
Mhm.
boring in the first half. But you kind of knew when Mahomes got that ball that, it wasn't looking good. And I think that's cool because one of my favorite thing about sports is it doesn't matter what sport it is that just that feeling when a GOAT is in control. And, growing up, it was Michael Jordan.
Yep.
You knew something was going to happen. Then it was Tom Brady. But, Patrick Mahomes definitely got the heavyweight championship belt, and I don't see him letting it go anytime soon.
Now there's 3-5, and it could be 4-6, and it could be the first three-peat and quite so first three-peat ever in the NFL for Super Bowl champion. You're right. The title's on there, and don't see letting go of the heavyweight championship anytime soon. There. Give me some of the Dio Gibson hobbies. When you're not doing music, what do you enjoy? What do you enjoy doing for hobbies?
I love to run. I'm a
Okay.
jogger. I'm not very fast at jogging, but I set a Guinness World Record in it.
All right. All right.
So I have 2 Guinness World Records. One you can see back there. I never know where I'm pointing, but for the world's longest freestyle rap. But I did another one, the most 10Ks on one day when everybody was in COVID and we did
Mhm.
things virtual. So I like getting out there and running. I showed you my book collection. I love reading and really just hanging out with my kids. And
Yeah.
so one of the things I love about my kids now that they're 13 and 11 is playing music with them,
Mhm.
and, kids don't look at music the way I did growing up because it was more like,
True.
oh, you like hip hop. You just listen to hip hop. Whereas they listen to everything. And,
Mhm.
like my son loves Taylor Swift, but then he starts going back and playing the country Taylor Swift. And then sometimes I'm cooking in the kitchen. We got country playing because that helped him discover more country. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, who's this? I like them. So, definitely playing music that everybody can enjoy is one of my favorite things.
I love that. Speaking of cooking, what do you enjoy? What's your favorite dish to cook?
Well, my kids and I like to cook so much, we actually came up with a cookbook. And
Okay.
we
All
just
right.
made copies kind of to give to family
Mhm.
around the holidays. But you can find us cooking a lot of different things, whether it's fajitas or
Mhm.
burritos, homemade burgers. We made beef Wellington a couple weeks
Okay.
ago. I
All
got some
right.
curry chicken going on in the background right now. And my son loves to bake. So he's always baking things, and his
Mhm.
favorite is to make brownies. But cooking with your family, to me, is a great way to spend time
Mhm.
because it also forces not just your kids, but yourself to put down the phone. um, and you can watch a movie nowadays or Netflix, and half the time you're scrolling through TikTok at the same time. So I love things where you can just do all together, and cooking from scratch is one of those.
That's a cool thing, no doubt about it too. Well, I'll tell you what, he cooks good, he sounds good, and the Songs of Freedom album is out there across all the streaming platforms. Make sure you guys go check it out if you haven't already, especially for audiences out there. KKTC, a true country, get a little variety as a spice of life, and of course a little bit up there at hightidecountry.net. I want to say appreciate you being on the program. Best of luck with the album, and God bless the rest of 2024, my friend, and hopefully we can do this again. Hope you enjoyed our chat.
Oh, God bless. And I was going to say, if you're ever in Toronto, I'll take you out to the Salty Dog, which is kind of like my neighborhood place to go to. It's a country and western place,
All
and
right.
it's run by Italians. I live in an Italian community. And, getting back to what we talked about is performing. They have an open mic, and I went on the mic a couple weeks ago there. And I love it because I might be a professional, but I love jamming. Doesn't matter what genre it is, and you'll see that's what Canada's great is. Country can come along with rap, and they're Italians that run the place with a wood oven, pizza, Nona cooking in the back, so you'll have some good food. So we'll talk some football and watch it there too.
I like that. Duane D.O. Gibson out there too. One of a kind, Songs of Freedom across all those digital platforms and streaming out there too, wherever you download, get your music, and of course your podcast out there. You can find us the Backstage Pass tomorrow. Corey Marks on the show, still working on Ryan Larkins, who wrote The Painter for Cody Johnson out there too, which was a hit song for Cody. We'll try to track down Ryan this week, and of course a couple of shows coming up next week on Monday before we get on that big dog out there, that big bird I should say, and fly to Nashville too as well for Country Radio Seminar the 28th of February through March 1st. Of course, we'll be there at the Doghouse Saloon the 28th and 29th. And, of course, out there, the Wild Beaver Saloon on March the 1st. Close to 100 interviews with some great artists out there, too. And, of course, some of the legends coming back. Shenandoah, T. Graham Brown, and a whole lot more out there, too. From all of us here at the Backstage Pass, we'll see you tomorrow. Corey Marks on the show. And then we'll take a break for the rest of the week to get ready in preparation for the Nashville trip. We'll see you guys soon out there. KKTC, True Country. 99.9, of course, hightidecountry.net, and powered by the sportsguyspodcast.com. See you soon.